In this lesson, we'll talk about custom exceptions, and I said earlier that custom exceptions allow you to create your own application-specific exceptions that have meaning inside of your own problem domain, inside of your own application. And they're suitable for throwing from one method to its callers to indicate that there was a failure, that the method did not finish successfully, and we can't continue on from here from an application logic perspective. Okay, so creating a custom exception is extremely simple, and hopefully you have enough background to understand why they're useful. To create one, all you got to do is create a new class that derives from or inherits exception, system.exception, like we've seen already. Maybe you're not familiar with the inheritance nomenclature, so we're going to cover that in the object-oriented programming series. So just remember the character that we'll need to use is a colon and the name of the class that we want to inherit from, and then we gain all the functionality from that class, and we could add additional functionality if we need to. In the case of custom exceptions, we really don't. You'll see this at work here in just a moment. Okay, you might recognize this project. This is from a couple of lessons ago. I recreated it. It is the basically that web page that allows us to type in, the hero name, hit points, games won, total games played. We already have our exception handling code in here with the try and all the catches. We already have a domain layer that has a character class with just two properties, and then we have this static battle method, and we were using reusing an exception called argument out of range exception, which is available from the .NET Framework class library, but that doesn't really explain what happened inside of our method. In fact, I don't know that there is a really good exception that exists in the .NET Framework that says, hey, your hero should be dead, or your monster should be dead. He can't attack the hero, okay? So we want to create a custom exception for that situation and pass that back up, and then allow the callers to decide what should happen next whenever the method says, I can't do this. This isn't going to work because the guy's dead. How is he supposed to attack somebody else, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is go to our domain layer, and we're going to define, first of all, let me make sure that we set the web project as a startup. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to create a folder. So I'm going to select add. Unfortunately, it's off to the right hand side of the screen, but I selected add new folder, and I'm going to call it exceptions. And why am I doing this? One, for code organization, so that all of our exception classes that we create for this domain layer are inside that folder. And then secondly, because it'll give us a nice namespace of custom exceptions.domain.exceptions then whatever our class name is. All right, so to actually create an exception class, a new custom exception, I'm going to select add new class. Keeps popping off the edge there. That bugs me. Let's go. We'll select the exceptions folder and go project, add class, and we'll call this class the invalid character exception. Now that might be a risky name to use, quite honestly, because invalid character, that could be, somebody typed in $sign in a password field, and we're not allowing special characters to be used for passwords, for example. Maybe I should call it something different. Maybe I should call it character already dead exception. All right, well, that's more descriptive, so we'll go ahead and go with that for now. Now notice first of all that I'm using a naming exception, that I am adding the word exception on the end because all of the .NET Framework class library exceptions follow that naming convention. And then I just want to make sure that it's descriptive of what the exception actually does. And in this case, I think that's pretty descriptive. Now, the last thing I'm going to need to do is have this inherit from the exception class. So I'm going to use the colon and then the word exception. And we are good to go now. There's nothing else that we need to do. We could add some additional methods and properties to this exception class. We really don't need to in this case. I haven't really needed to before. I'm sure there's a reason why you might want to. Perhaps you might want to just institute logging right in here. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that, and then I'm going to compile. I'm going to build this, and it succeeded. And now what I want to do in the game action class, in the static battle method, is instead of throwing this new argument out of range exception, I'm going to use the character already exists or already dead exception. Okay, it's not giving me IntelliSense. Let me see what the problem is here. Oh, I know what the problem is. We need to add a using statement for our new exceptions namespace. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor right next to the C and then hit Control period on my keyboard, and I'm going to select add that using statement using custom exceptions.domain.exceptions, and now we're good to go. And let me go ahead and copy that and paste that here and replace that. Okay, now let's see what the problem is here. It doesn't like the way that I call the constructor. We really don't need the constructor anyway. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and build it one more time. Great. And now let's go to our default.aspx. And here what we want to do is add another catch. I'm going to add it right here. So catch, and you can see that here again it doesn't recognize it because I'm going to have to add that namespace to my using statements. So using custom exceptions.domain.exceptions, and there, that should do it. Let's build this, see if that works. Now I see where the problem was. I forgot the keyword public. That's why I couldn't find it, why I was having all these problems. There we go. And now we should be able to come back here and build this again. And found it, and we're good to go. Okay, even though it's not colored correctly, we're still in good shape. So we can go either the monster or the hero is dead, something along those lines. And I said we may want to create two different exceptions, one for the monster is dead, one for the hero is dead, or I could just add a property onto this new exception, who is dead, and then display that instead. That would be kind of an interesting variation on this. Let's try it this way first, and then I'll break out of the script here and I'll try that other exception. I think we'll have to do at least that, and then hit calculate, and either the monster or hero is dead. Great. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this, and we're going to go back up to the character already dead exception. We're going to create a new, let's go ahead and create a new constructor. So dead exception, and we'll go string character name. I don't know. And here we'll go prop tab string character name, and so we'll go character name equals character name, like so. Then let's go ahead and rebuild this. We might want to put a little more thought into this, but let's go ahead and then call this so. Build that again. Great. And now here we'll go character name was dead. Maybe I'll even do this problem. There we go. Good. Okay, here we go. Or defend, I guess. So, all right, defender was dead, could not attack, or I should put defend in that case, but hopefully you get the idea that we can extend that exception and add a little more functionality so it can be more descriptive of what actually was happening. Not just the fact that it failed, but why it failed. The defender was already dead, so you can't attack a dead defender, right? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The real key to this is that we created a new class. We inherited from the exception class. As a stretch goal, I added some additional functionality, a new constructor and a property so that we could set some additional pieces of information specifically about this type of exception, and then we handled it just like we always do in the default.aspx.cs. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. We're going to move on and continue in the next module. We'll see you there. Thanks.